Welcome back, friends. Today we're going to do a video on installing an air intake system on a 2012 Volkswagen Jetta. This is my son's car and he wanted this for his birthday, this air intake system, so we got it and we thought we'd do a video on it. Did a little research. We couldn't really find too many videos on installing this air intake system, so we're going to do one. Hopefully it helps somebody out. But the air intake system, it's made by AEM, and the part number for this one is 21-733C, and it's gunmetal gray finish. So follow along with us while we install this. So here are all the parts that came with it: some trim, edge trim rubber gasket, bag of parts here. Clamps, screws, bolts, hose, the filter, and the bracket. Everybody, this is Jacob. This is Jacob's car, and we're installing this air intake on Jacob's car, who's a little shy on the camera. We're to remove this bolt, and then there's one on the other side. Then the next step is to release the pressure clamp at the engine cover outlet as shown in disconnect. So this one right here. Remove the engine cover from the engine. Pull up on the back corners of the cover first, then the two front. Okay, next step is to remove that engine cover. Go ahead, Jacob. Pull the back corners off first, and then the front corners. We already had it loose. Release the pressure on the clamp at the throttle body and remove the stock intake tube. One here. So next, we need to detach both the air injector connectors by squeezing the curled areas and pulling away from the stock intake tube. There's one. So we're going to totally move this out of our way. It does not say to remove this, but we're going to take it out of our way so we can get those hoses off. Remove this one by squeezing it, and this one is just a little cramped in here. So that's off. The next step was to loosen this clamp and take this off. Remove the bolt shown. This bolt will not be reused. This bolt right here.
This bolt will not be reused. We'll set him up there.
Installation of AEM intake system. Install the upper edge trim, part number 8-3034, onto the top of the heat shield. Then install the lower edge trim. So now we have to install upper edge trim onto the top of the heat shield. Install this on here. Only got that on there. There's just an edge that goes around there. Now is the bottom. Instructions say just install these clamps over the throttle body. that didn't make any sense. But if you look closely at the picture, there's this rubber sleeve on there. Okay, next step was rubber piece on and the 2 clamps, and only tighten the back one. And then the next is to install the assembled heat shield into the engine compartment and reinstall the bolts removed in 2A. And it is these 2 bolts. And there is not much room at all.
Install the heat shield. So the initial 2 bolts we took out, it said were going to be reused. There's that one. This side.
Heat shield is attached. Using the supplied hardware, install the bolt, washer, and spacer to attach bracket to the post where the bolt was removed in 2F. So now we gotta attach a bracket and bolt to there. The spacer, bracket, and bolt and washer. Into here. So we'll tighten that once we get this other part on. Okay, now we need to install this tube. So next we're going to install this tube, but it says before we insert it into that rubber piece that we had on the throttle body, we need to connect the bottom hose first. Okay, so we're going to connect this hose to here. I heard it click. Once the lower air injector connectors is properly attached, slide the AEM tube into the hose at the throttle body and align the bracket with the mount on the heat shield. So we have it aligned. Install and tighten the washer and nut onto the mount. Okay, so we gotta put this. In there. And then we can tighten the other hose clamp. Hard to see, but we're going to tighten this other hose clamp. Next we can tighten this other hose clamp here. Next we're going to connect the other air line. Okay, so we're going to put a little soapy water on it. Now I'm going to tighten these up. Tighten that bracket back there. Okay, that one's tight. Everything is tight. Lines are on. Tight, tight, tight. Both those are tight. Install and tighten the air filter and hose clamp. Note, rotate the filter for best clearance so it does not make contact with anything in the engine compartment. So what do you think? Good. Okay, now we just got to put the engine cover back on. Okay, before we put the engine cover on, we have to remove a couple things here. Install this cap. Here. So let's put the front ones in first. Hold them back. All right, everything's back together. We're gonna clean the tools off the car and start it up. Okay, everything seems to be working. No check engine lights on. So yeah, that wasn't too bad. The instructions were a little, how do I want to say it, lacking on instructions. The pictures were very small, hard to see. Yeah, that could be updated a little bit, but other than that, it was pretty easy to put on. The filter is a washable filter, so we don't have to replace that ever again. Just take it off and wash it. So that was the installation of the AEM cold air intake system. Part number 21-733C. Let us know what you think of the video. Like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Help us get the channel started. Thanks for watching.